Welcome to the Conjure Room. I'm so happy that you are here joining me for a new conversation. And this conversation is about the inherited medicine. Your ancestors have passed you gifts and information that you can now use to support you in your life and business. So, welcome to the conversation. Welcome to the Conjure Room. One of the things that I have noticed over, I would say, the last couple of years are more and more people who are coming and sitting with me, clients who are coming and sitting with me and sharing with me what is coming up for them, what they're feeling. They're noticing some shifts and some changes. The way they were doing things, the roles that they were in are no longer satisfying them. They're no longer working. They're no longer feeling right. Doesn't mean that the success isn't there, doesn't mean they can't continue doing it, but it's just not feeling the way they wanted to feel. And what I've noticed when I've had conversations with them and we connect with their ancestors, is the ancestors are sharing not just wisdom and information and guidance, but they're talking about that medicine that has been passed down for generations that is now waiting to be discovered. I know that the women that come and sit with me, the women that come for their private sessions with me, are all being guided to me through their ancestors because this medicine is ready to be revealed, it's ready to be carried forward and carried through. Some of the medicine that is received is medicine that has been perfected for generations, multiple generations, may go back 10, 15, 20 generations. Some of the medicine, some of the tools, the skills, the resources, the wisdom that has been passed down, some of it has skipped generations. Some of it was prevented. In some cases, our ancestors weren't allowed to completely utilize that medicine. And now here we are in a time when we can, in a time when the ancestors are selecting people in the lineage to come forward and really bring this medicine to the people. So, your ancestral medicine, all of us have it. All of us have medicine in our family lineage. It's not special to any one person. We all have it, and we have medicine that comes from four distinct lines, both of your parents and their parents. Those are your four lineage lines. Now, there's medicine on other lineage lines as well, but those are the four that are the most important for us to realize and for us to really embrace and begin to use. One of the things that I know is that you can carry more than one ancestral gift. As I said, there's four lineage lines. Some of those may be exactly the same. Some of those lineage lines may have a different medicine. You may have one lineage line that is a teacher and another lineage line that is a healer. One that may be a musician, while another one is a peacekeeper. And all of those can be used to help you really look at what is it that I want to bring to the world next? What is the legacy I want to leave? And we'll talk a little bit more about how every ancestral medicine doesn't have to become an offer in a business. Your ancestral medicine is what you can use to help you, whether you want to create a business or you want to leave a legacy or you want to be just that person in your family that carries this medicine forward. So your life has taught you to search for one purpose. And I hear this quite often. I'll hear people say to me, I'm searching for my purpose. I'm searching for my purpose. And then I talk to them and I ask them, what kinds of things are you doing? Oh, well, I'm volunteering here. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And I'm like, well, you're searching for something that you don't really need to search for. It is already within you. It is already there. And that is so powerful because sometimes we overlook it. We overlook the things that naturally come to us because sometimes we're looking for that one purpose, but you may not have just one purpose, right? You may not have just one clear path. You may have a path that you're on for a long period of time, and then suddenly it's time to shift to something new and different, which I find women right now, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, that's exactly what's happening worldwide. So the search sometimes when we're looking for one specific thing can be too small. Oftentimes it's multiple things. And that's where your medicine comes in. That's when you begin to understand why you're being drawn to so many different things and you want to learn different things. You may have your hands that may be healing hands. You may receive guidance through dreams. Your voice may carry a medicine while your presence helps people feel safe and really safe enough for them to feel like they can tell their truth. Those are two medicines that are working for you at the same time. Maybe you have a gift for writing or preserving stories, but you also have a gift for guiding people through transitions or creating some type of beauty in the world, some way of helping others understand what they can't name as their own. Those are all ancestral gifts that are passed to us from multiple generations. And all of those gifts can be connected. So when you're at a point where you're searching for the gift or the medicine or the one purpose or one path, just remember that if you're being called by the ancestors, you're probably being called into multiple medicines that now are calling you forward, and you can decide how you want to use that medicine. And I think of this as like a tree with branches, right? Each one of them is receiving life from the root. Well, that's the same thing with your ancestors. You're receiving life from these ancestors, gifts and medicine from these ancestors. And now you can decide how you want to express it, which is just how the branches of the tree express in different ways, grow in different ways, move in different ways. So let's talk about what's beneath the surface, right? You probably have spent years, going through different roles, interests, and different areas of work. And at first they seem related. Things seem like they're kind of related. You may have worked in leadership, then found yourself drawn to healing. Well, you may not feel that that's related, but there is something that is connected in that. Because your professional life required strategy, so does healing. Your professional life required you to be organized. It required you to be grounded, so does healing. And that's how we start to look at what is it that you were naturally drawn to before? What is it that you were actually doing before? And how does it relate to this medicine that is now coming through you? And that's how we start to really identify what the medicine is and how it's meant to flow through you. So we don't have to throw away everything that we've done in the past. It becomes a part of this medicine that's calling us forward. It becomes a big part of it. So, what I want you to do is ask yourself a couple of questions. And these are some questions that you can think about now, and you can think about some of these questions later. These are questions that can help you become more clear about what that ancestral medicine is. Now, when I sit with people and I do their bloodline codex, what I do is I identify the different ancestral medicines on 4 of the lineage lines. I identify for them not only the medicine, but what are some of the karmic stories, the ancestral stories, wounds that may be interfering. I identify who are the ancestors that are most aligned with walking with you right now to help you reveal this medicine and help you to put form to it. So these questions help you get started with that before we actually even look at your bloodline codex. So what kind of support do people naturally come to you for? Think about that for a minute. What do people naturally come and seek you out for? Do they come and seek you out because they want to learn something about art? Do they seek you out because maybe you're a musician and they want your feedback? Do they seek you out for your leadership, for your wisdom, for your guidance? Do they come around you because you bring peace? Or maybe you make them laugh? What is it that you naturally have that people seek? And what part of your work seems older than the training you have? And what I mean by that is what sometimes we just have a knowing about something. We just know how to do it, even if we haven't had any training for it. We just know it. We just automatically know it. I can remember having conversations with my father, who was a person who always loved to work with his hands. He loved repairing things. In fact, we have this saying that if he can't fix it, it can't be repaired, because that was who he was. He loved working with his hands. And as a young boy, he would fix things on the farm that he lived on. He was always repairing things, and this naturally came to him. It wasn't something that he had an opportunity to learn. It was something where he could look at it and just determine what needed to be done to repair something. Anything from things that were mechanical to electricity. He knew how to repair these things without any formal training. So think about what has come natural to you without ever, and that doesn't mean that formal training didn't help, because yeah, he went on to get formal training so that he could actually do that work for a living. But what has naturally come to you, and then you said, okay, I want to learn more about this. I want to do more with it. I want to be able to take it forward and do something with it. Where do your lived experiences and spiritual gifts seem to meet? That's the third question. Where do your lived experience and spiritual gifts seem to meet? Meaning, have you done something in your lived experience that you feel is a part of this spiritual gift that you have? Maybe you've been able, I remember my grandmother telling me that at a very young age, she was able to put her hands on people and they just immediately started to feel calm and feel at peace. And so that's what she did. She would go around and she would just touch an elder in the family and kind of calm them down. She even tried that on one of her elders one time, and they had a problem with it because they were upset with her. So, yeah. So you basically, what is it that maybe you are um, carrying that you've lived with that is a part of your lived experience? So all of these questions can answer a little bit about and reveal a little bit of deeper medicine moving through several areas of your life. And those are questions that can get you started to really recognize that what you carry is not something that just started with you. What you carry is something more, much deeper. What you carry is something that is supported by ancestors who may or may not have been able to actually utilize this medicine fully in their own lived lives. And now they're ready to align with you and support you with expressing the medicine in ways that feel right to you. And that's why it's so important for you to start to ask yourself those questions, particularly if you're at a point where you're ready to step on a new path, you're ready for a new chapter, you're ready for something different. You're ready to move out of where you were and into something new? These are good questions to start to think about, because that medicine, when you really ground yourself in it, you understand it, you know how it flows through you, and you connect with the ancestors that hold the medicine, whatever you decide to do in your next chapter is going to come to you easier. You'll be more fulfilled. You'll have more joy as you do it, and there'll be less struggle. So those are questions to continue to keep and think about. And it may take you a few days to kind of go through them. Think about them over several days. Now, sometimes the gifts that we carry that we've inherited come to us later in life. They don't all come to us when we're a young child. For some people, they do. There's some people that just know early on that they were a leader and they've continued to be a leader and now they're a leader in their career. But then for others, these gifts come later on. Some people, like I said, know that they've had a gift since childhood. Some people know they've had the gift since childhood, but they didn't quite understand it. They didn't really know what it meant. They may have received, messages in their dreams. They may have sensed a presence of an elder coming through, like an elder ancestor that's coming through. And they may understand things that they can't even explain. They just know them and they don't even know why they know them. Some people learn to hide these parts of themselves. They hid it because it wasn't acceptable, because people might not understand. But as we mature and as we grow older, the ancestors start trusting us more with this information. They start reassuring us that it's okay. And we're in a time now where we don't have to hide it anymore. It may sometimes feel like we do, but we absolutely do not have to hide it anymore. You don't have to hide these gifts that are coming through, these natural abilities. So these gifts can come and be clearer and clearer the older we get, the more wisdom that we've gained. In fact, sometimes the more wisdom we've gained, the more experience we've gained, the more that inherited medicine starts to come through. And sometimes it starts to come through because the ancestors see a match for what you're experiencing right now. And they start to share with you, consciously and unconsciously, even if you're not connected with them. You'll start to feel something happening inside of you that's shifting and changing. You'll start to be in your flow, right? Things that you may have had to work a little bit harder at are now a lot easier for you to do, a lot easier for you to understand. So an ability can come before you really understand what it is. And sometimes that comes after there's been a loss of an elder in your family. It can also come when you're dealing with grief, dealing with the loss, dealing with the emotions of what you no longer have in terms of that person being around you. Sometimes it comes up during retirement. When you start thinking of retirement, then you start getting these messages about what comes next. Maybe it's a writing project. Maybe it's spending more time with your community. Maybe it's spending more time with your grandchildren, your children. When we start having career shifts, that's when we can start feeling this medicine even more during that time. Career begins to shift, things start to happen. Maybe there's some downsizing that's going on, and then suddenly you'll start to you feel guided to something. You might feel guided to something different, something new. And sometimes we shut that down. I have a client who is a architect. And for a long time, she's been feeling this move to do something different. And when her company started having downsizing and they were sued and they were losing money, she started feeling more and more guided towards her garden. She started feeling more and more guided to really understanding how these plants that she'd always worked with were making her feel. She started looking and seeing that her ancestors were sending her messages through the plants that she was working with. She started working on connecting with people and then connecting them with the plants that were most important to help them with their healing, to help them with their peace. So you see, sometimes as careers shift, this medicine starts to come forward. And what we discovered for her is that on one of her lineage lines, there was a medicine woman who worked with plants, her great great grandmother. And so, as she understood and started connecting with this grandmother, she started understanding the medicinal properties of some of the plants that she had always just seen as something beautiful to add to somebody's yard. Now had much more meaning. It had a healing. Not a healing from the standpoint that she is actually using them as medicine for healing, but she's using them as for creating sacred spaces. So you see, it oftentimes can come through when we're having some type of shift in our career. And then age can deepen your ability to recognize what you carry. Sometimes it takes us being a little bit older to just step back and go, oh, wait a minute. I actually carry this naturally, and really willing to identify it and being willing to say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm able to do. So you have more experience now. And because you have more experience now, you understand people differently. You may be less willing to force yourself into roles that no longer fit you. And when that happens, that medicine starts to come through. And this is when really having a deeper relationship with your ancestors becomes so important. Because as that medicine starts to surface, because now you're older, you're wiser, you're not willing to do the things that you did before, the ancestors are now saying, oh, she's open, she's listening. Let me connect with her. And that's when establishing a relationship with your ancestors becomes so powerful. And that consistent relationship is where it begins. And so what we find is that during these wisdom years, as I call them, this oftentimes begins to emerge. This information starts to come forward. Some forms of the ancestral medicine, it requires a real steadiness that we get when we get older and wiser. And that medicine can come through because we've survived disappointment. We've held responsibility. We've learned how to use our power without needing attention. And now the medicine is ready to be revealed. So think about for yourself right now, what seems to be changing and shifting in you? Where are you on your path? What is changing that is causing this information to start to come through? Now, there may be some things that are holding you back. We'll talk a little bit more about that in one of the other Conjure Rooms where we talk about some of the interference. And I've talked about this before, but we'll go a little bit deeper about the interference that can happen from the ancestors. Because what we find is that oftentimes people think that the only thing the ancestors left were wounds. And that's so untrue, as you have heard here about the ancestral medicine. But they did leave some stories that may be interfering. So we'll talk about that later. But what's important now is for you to begin to just feel, what is it that naturally flows through me that I can bring forward on this next part of your journey? So you may receive information through your dreams. And that's a great time for you to have a deeper connection with your ancestors. Make sure that you have good sleep habits, because good sleep habits allow you to have better dreams and receive more wisdom through the night. Ancestors love to communicate with us in our dreams. In fact, you'll find sometimes that after you've had someone pass on, that they will come to you in your dreams and will share information with me, or sometimes they'll just stand, right? They'll just stand there. They don't say anything, but you just feel their comfort and you know that they're there. You find it soothing in some cases. For some people, they find it a little scary initially, but if you just lean into it and allow it to happen, it's there. So having really good sleep hygiene, getting the proper amount of sleep, going to bed at a proper hour, not sleeping with the TV on, not sleeping with the radio on, the music on, whatever, listening to things that are not going to allow you to sleep. And I said, listening with the radio, that's funny. How many people do that anymore? How many people even listen to the radio anymore? But anyway, I regress. Make sure that you are getting really good quality sleep as a way to have a deeper connection with your ancestors. Because as you develop the connection, as you develop the consistency with them, that's when you begin to experience this medicine coming forward and you get the messages about it in an easier way. So let's talk about these gifts from the standpoint that some people think, oh, now that I know what they are, now that I know what this medicine is, I have to offer something. And I'm here to tell you, you can, and that's beautiful. Offering something, doing something in the community or as a business is great. But you don't have to feel pressure to turn every spiritual ability into a service, a program, or a business. For some people, that's what they're guided to. For some people, that's exactly what they need to do. That's what I did with my ancestral medicine. But that's not what everybody has to do. Because sometimes doing that pulls you away from the medicine. Now, that's only because sometimes people are like, okay, I have this, this ancestral medicine. I'm connected with the ancestors. I got to create a business right away. And you don't necessarily have to do that. Some medicine belongs within your family. Maybe you've been called to be the gatekeeper, right? The wisdom keeper that passes this along. Maybe it's a spiritual passing along. Maybe it's holding it, trusting it, believing it, so that it can naturally be passed on to your descendants. Sometimes it just belongs in the family as the peacekeeper, as the one who brings peace to the family, as the one who provides guidance and grounding to the family. Sometimes it's just holding on and making it okay for the next generation. So as a grandmother or an elder in your family, you may have this medicine and your grandchildren, your children may have it, your great-grandchildren may have it, and you've made it okay because you hold it, you respect it, and now you've made it okay for them to feel comfortable sharing that medicine. Because that's part of it too. Oftentimes we haven't felt comfortable sharing it. Your ancestors may not have felt comfortable, as I mentioned earlier. And maybe for you in your family, where it's showing up for you is for you to just hold the place, right? To make it okay for it to be revealed. You might be the person that's called in the family to remember the family stories, to document the family stories, to tend the altar, to help your young relatives, as I mentioned, to help them understand where they came from, what their messages are, what the ancestors have for them. It may even be through the support of an elder in your family, or to really help your family move through grief. So you see, all of our ancestral medicine is not intended to be this big offer, something that we sell. Sometimes we may have 4 different medicines, and one of them is about the family, or it could be all of them are about the family. Those are the things that we discover when we do the bloodline codex. So some of your medicine you carry privately. It doesn't require you to express it outwardly. What I will say is, even in those experiences, if you decide, you know what, I actually want to share this beyond my family, that's okay too. But what the ancestors tell us is it is absolutely okay if you don't want to take this outside of your family and you just want to be able to do it in your family. You may, as I said, use part of your medicine in your professional life while another remains sacred and private. You may be a healer and do healing work, But you also may be the peacekeeper that comes in with your family, and you're the one that everybody kind of wants in the room because you bring a sense of peace to everyone when they walk in the room. You bring a calm, a level head, able to reason. And so people want you in the room, your family wants you in the room. So inherited medicine doesn't have to become visible in order to matter. And that's something I want you to really remember. It doesn't have to be visible to everyone else in order for it to matter. When you are working with your medicine, just pay attention to what continues to return. You don't have to develop every gift. So you don't have to, you have ancestors that were musicians, and you have ancestors that were artists, and you have ancestors that, let's say, were really good business people. You don't have to develop all of those at one time. You don't have to do all of them. You carry the energy of them, and if you select one and create something with it, whether, like I said, it's within your family or you create something that is a business offer, if you just take one and you create something with it, you still hold the energy of those others and allows you to pass them on to future generations. So the medicine you carry is a responsibility. It's a big responsibility. And it's a responsibility because if you are feeling it, if you are learning about it, if you are hearing about it, if you identify it, it's because the ancestors know that you're the family member to carry it. You may not be the only one, but you are one of the people in your lineage that has been given the responsibility to carry this medicine forward. That is a big responsibility, but it's not a responsibility that comes without support. It is responsibility that comes with support from ancestors who are walking with you, supporting you, guiding you, opening doors where doors are closed, giving you peace when you need peace, protecting you when you need protection, giving you insights and allowing you to see things that you can't see on your own. The ancestors are doing that for you. So that responsibility doesn't come without support. It comes with a tremendous amount of support. Your medicine may be allowing you to continue work that earlier generations could not complete. That makes it a big responsibility. Think about that. You have ancestors that were prevented from being able to continue the medicine in your lineage. And now you have the opportunity to carry it forward. They may have carried a gift without the real freedom to develop it. Maybe they were healers. They may have been stoned to death because of it. They may have had to hide it at some point. It may have been dangerous for them, so they had to express it quietly or not at all. Or maybe they had to use it, like maybe they were a painter. I mean, we know in history that there were some women that were some really creative artists, and a man's name was put on their work because they weren't allowed to share that it was them that was creating this work. That may have happened. And now you get to carry the work forward in a way that they couldn't. You get to continue it. You get to express it in a way that they couldn't. You're that person. You carry the medicine. The medicine requires care, and they have trusted you with that medicine. And sometimes you need boundaries, right? You need boundaries. You need to have boundaries to protect your own energy. You need boundaries and, connection with them to let them know how much of this you're willing to take on. You don't have to take it all on. You only handle as much as you feel like you can handle. You don't have to start a music career just because you have ancestors that were musicians. But maybe you do sound healing. Maybe you're the one that has the musical list for the family functions. Maybe you're the one that organizes family members to go or friends to go to listen to music. There's different ways that you can do it that doesn't require you to be overburdened, but it's about setting boundaries. So I want you to think about this. What has been entrusted to you? And what form is it asking to take in this season? What's been entrusted to you? Think about that. What has been entrusted to you? And then in the Bloodline Codex, that is a question that we answer. You can begin now thinking about it. If you decide that you want to do your Bloodline Codex at some point, we sit together. And as I said before, I connect with your ancestors. We identify the medicine in your family lineage that's wanting to come through right now, and the ancestors who are most connected to that medicine that can help you now, the ancestors who may be holding on to some fear, maybe holding on to lack or some experiences as a result of that medicine and now need to be freed from those experiences, from those wounds, from the chaos, from the trauma, which now allows you to fully step into your medicine. And then we look at how to carry this forward. What is yours to carry now? What is yours to maybe save for later? And how do you hold this medicine? How do you connect with these ancestors to hold the medicine? It may be, like I said, it might be that it's for your family. It might be for the community as a volunteer project. And it may be a business. But what I know is that your ancestral medicine is your legacy. And in the times that we're in, it's really important because more and more people are being called. We're being called to step into this power, particularly women. As I'm connecting with my clients who are usually women, as I am connecting with these women, I am finding more and more that women are being called to step into a power like we've never been called before. And what is happening is it is causing some confusion. People are confused about what's next. Ancestral medicine helps answer that. More and more people are being called to something bigger, fuller, and more soul aligned. When you know your ancestral medicine, it is soul aligned because your ancestors know what your soul came here to do, and the wisdom that they share with you about the medicine in your lineage is aligned with your soul's expression. I also notice as I'm sitting with women, one of the big questions, particularly women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and even beyond, what is my legacy? What is my legacy? What is it that I want to leave? And what I call it is your living legacy. This isn't about the finances that you leave or the money you leave. All of those things are great and important, but it's really about, for many of them, what is it that I want to pass to the next generation? What is it that I want them to know, to have, to believe, to experience? This is your living legacy. Your ancestral medicine is your living legacy, and that's where legacy is created. And as I've said before, as our loved ones leave the earth, and we've invited many of them in today, as they leave the earth, we may feel a pull to do more, offer more, and show up more. And that's why it's important for us to understand this medicine and use it. Now, you may have coaching, strategies, you may have done human design, astro charts, all of these things, they're all powerful. They're all helpful. And when you know that ancestral medicine, all of those things become even more powerful. So, with that said, I invite you to really step into those questions. Really think about those questions that I shared with you so that you can begin to understand what your ancestral medicine is. And if you would like to learn more about your ancestral medicine, specifically for you and how it applies to you, then definitely reach out to me, reply to the email that I've sent, drop Bloodline Codex in the comments, and I'll be sure to get you some information about it. And I know when we first started, um, Yana asked me about a talk that I did yesterday. I was invited to be on Shafali's show, Awaken to Happiness Now, yesterday. And I will actually, with this video, when I send out the replay, email for the replay, I'll share the link to her talk as well. And we talked about ancestral medicine in there. She asked a number of questions that I think you'll find also really helpful and gives you more information about ancestral medicine and how it plays a part in your life and how it can help you. And I also shared something on there. I have a special that I offered on there as well, and I'll include that information too. But just so you know now what it is I have a program called Conjure Connection 21. And Conjure Connection 21 is your connection to your ancestors. It's 21 days of very short spiritual practices to help you have a deeper connection with your ancestors. So as that medicine is being revealed to you, you have a direct connection with those that are ready to guide you. Included in there every week for the 21 days, you'll receive a healing meditation that is clearing away some of the ancestral stories that may be impacting your ability to connect with them, but also to really step into your medicine in a powerful way. And you'll be taken on a guided journey where you'll have an opportunity to connect with specific ancestors that can help you as you are creating a deeper connection with them. And then I also have another part to that offer, and that is the Ancestral Guidance Circle. And the Ancestral Guidance Circle is a way for 6 women to come together with me and ask questions from their ancestors. So you can ask a question. I will channel the information from your ancestors, and that way you will be able to receive some guidance from them that will support you. And what's really beautiful about doing it as a group is that when the ancestors come together and share information, you will receive spiritual practices, tools, ideas, resources that will be shared from the other ancestors that can support you as well. And I keep it to a small group so that everybody has an opportunity to share and receive information. If you're interested in either one of those, you can definitely let me know. You can drop a comment or you and say, yes, I'm interested, or you'll receive, when I send it out, you'll receive a link to all of that as well as the talk yesterday. So with that said, I thank you for being here with me. I will